Hey, I'm Sheena Shuey. I'm a registered social worker and host of the 4Q podcast. I'm passionate about normalising, not pathologising life, and that's not easy. So each episode, I have amazing guests on to share the messy, beautiful ups and downs of life in 4 key questions with tips and tricks along the way. There are moments in life where you can embrace your story and understand that it's okay not to feel okay sometimes. So let's get into it. This is the 4Q podcast. Hello, beautiful people. How are you today? So today we are going to reflect on the one thing that I wish I knew about the psychological healing journey, or the spiritual healing journey, or the emotional, body, physical healing journey. It's an interesting topic because it is such a lesson that I wish I learned sooner in my life, and such a lesson that so many of us in the Western world need to learn, because of those of you who've been following me for a while, we know that the Western world is very individualistic. It's all about us and me achieving and me reaching my greatest heights, limits, expectations, but it's not about us as a collective. And so we have this idea that we've got to achieve things on our own, we've got to do things on our own, and both consciously and unconsciously, it's ingrained in who we are. You know, when we see someone successful, we often think, wow, they must have good characteristics. We don't often think, wow, they must have a great support system, you know. So let's get to that redefining what I mean here. So what we know about neuroscience and the brain is that we know that healing happens in the relational space. Now, what does that mean? Okay, so relational space is that relationships we have, the eye contact, the non-verbals, the communication that we have in a situation. You know, when we're, if you're anything like me, when we're talking to someone about a situation that's happened or something that you're thinking, often you're processing as you're going. Like, I know at the end of the day, when I debrief something with my husband, I often think of that situation differently once I've gotten it out and gotten the words out. Now, he might not have given me any new perspective or any new ideas, but just through relating to me, I'm processing things. Now, when it comes to healing, it's very easy to think, okay, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to meditate more. I'm going to journal. I'm going to, start exercising and eating really right and being really clear. But those things are done in isolation. They're not done in the space of the healing environment that is community and relationships. You need to have that space. So whether, and I mean this not just in the psychological sense of mind, but in body and spirit as well. We heal through connection. We heal through community. We cannot do that on our own. And if I had known that sooner in my own journey, I wouldn't have been so bloody harsh on myself, and it would have been so much easier. I remember the first time I started seeing another psychologist and therapist, and whoa, like I just felt like a different person so soon. Like, we're not talking 10 sessions down the track. Like 2 or 3 sessions in, you're already going, wow, like someone gets me and hears me and sees me, and it's healing. It's so powerful. It's powerful on a biological sense. So we know that when you are connecting with another human being, there are so many neurological things happening that do not happen on your own. So that's one. 2 is that you can process things better as you bounce them off someone. And, there's just, on a spiritual level too, like connecting with another soul and another energy and another presence, that's huge. That's powerful. So let's redesign this, redesign this. How do you incorporate that into your life? Like if you're wanting to do something. So, I've heard of people taking ayahuasca and really changing their lives, right? Feeling like, wow, I've done such a big thing for my anxiety and my depression and I feel amazing. But people don't take ayahuasca on their own. They take it in a community, in a group, and in a healing energy circle, right? Same with, when you get a massage, you can't get massaged on your own. You need that other person, another person's presence, energy, body, moving yours around. You can't do that on your own because they see the knots that you have that maybe you didn't even know you had. That's so much what it is like when I see coaching clients and counseling clients. The thing about coaching and counseling, both as a therapist that I've seen, as a social worker that I've seen, but also as someone who's been to counseling for years, I've been on there several times and it's so healing, is that you have someone to see the things that you cannot see. They see your blind spots you didn't even know existed, because that's the whole point. The blind spot is out of your vision. You don't know you're doing this habit. You don't know you've got this pattern until somebody puts the links in front of you. And then it's like, those are those light bulb moments, those aha moments, those, excuse my French, but holy shit moments. Like, why did I not notice this before? It's kind of like, have you ever started thinking about buying a new car and then all of a sudden you notice that car is everywhere? That's what the healing process is like when you do it in the correct way, in the relational sense, because they will point out something to you that you haven't seen, and then all of a sudden that is all you can see because you've been ignoring it. So it's hugely powerful. Now, if we want to realign this in our life, how can we make this like a tangible thing in our lives? It's one thing for you, I know it's very easy for me to say relationships, like doing things in connection with other people is the number one thing you need to do on your healing journey. I get that. But how can you make this happen for you? Well, I don't want to be some slimy salesperson and say, hey, like you have to get coaching with me, or hey, like join my Wild Ocean Code membership that's launching next month. Like, of course I would love those things. Our founding member launches next month, but do it any way that you can, whether you see a counselor and a coach like myself, a social worker, whether you see a psychologist, whether you see a naturopath, whether you see a masseuse, whether you see a spiritual healer. Find what you need to connect. Find what you need to connect and heal and see the blind spots, and keep that space sacred. That is something that is just for you and just for your healing. Now, the other part of that is that I think it's very important that that space is just for you and it's not about involving friends and family. Now, yes, of course, there's going to be times therapeutically where it makes sense to involve a friend or involve a family member. Don't get me wrong, there's time and space for it, but it's not about them. And I think sometimes one of the mistakes I see is people go, I talked about this with my friend and I talked about this with my family, and they gave their opinion, and it's like, that's great, but your family see you in a biased way, or they have their own perspectives of a situation in a biased way. They're not objective about it. When you see someone externally or connect with people externally about it, of course we all have our own predispositioned biases, but we will see the situation in a completely different light to than someone who knows you deeply for a very long time. So just be aware of that. So let's just recap this episode real quick. We reflected on the one thing I wish I knew about the healing journey is that it needs to be done in connection with other people in the relational space. Why that is because there's neurological things that are going on that heal you, that cannot happen outside of a connection with another person or outside of a community. It cannot happen in isolation on your own. We need to incorporate this in our mind, body, and soul somehow. So whether it's with a naturopath, seeing a psychologist, engaging in a community group, seeing a spiritual energy healer, we need to find that space. And finally, we need to have it just as our own, to see our blind spots and not have our family and friends or our own biases in there. We need someone who's outside of our circle who can be objective for us. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you're on your healing journey and you know this, because I know for myself, I was doing all the things, exercising, meditating, the rest of it. Until I saw that psychologist and that counselor, it just did not resonate and click. And then when I saw them, it was like the universe aligned for me and things just clicked and made sense. And it was like being on roids. Like, you get the results much faster and just stronger. It was incredible. So do that for you. Ask yourself, am I worth investing in, and what relational context do I need to work on? What area of my life do I need to work on? Now, I know I mentioned I don't want to be a sleazy salesman, but if you do want to connect with Savasana Collective in my services, there's the Wild Ocean Co membership that we're launching, which is your community of other sirens to help you be on this healing journey together. They will have your back. I am making this an intentional space where we can say, look, I've noticed these things in my husband. Has anybody else noticed this? Or I've noticed this relational pattern I'm having with my kids and I'm realizing where it's coming from and it hurts. Has anybody else gone through this? This is what our group is going to be, is about supporting each other through things that are tricky sometimes, but healing nonetheless. It makes us the best person of who we are. Or, of course, you can do some one-on-one coaching with me, and I do always have limited spots available. So please check in, send me a DM on Instagram or find me on our website, savasanacollective.com. All right, if you love this episode, rate and review it and connect. And, I want to hear your healing story. So please connect, and I will see you next episode. Bye for now.